Welcome back to the Cherry on Top YouTube channel, where today I am showing some tips on coloring with alcohol markers. I'm using 3 different brands. I have the Spectrum Noir, which are the tri-blend markers. There are 3-in-1 markers. I have some Sizzix markers, as well as some sketch markers from American Crafts. This page has really begun with the Books Are Magic stamp from Altenew. I just really loved this stamp and built the rest of the page around it. And I am stamping it with the Midnight color of Catherine Pooler ink, and I need an ink that won't blend when I am using my alcohol markers. So there's not many inks that do work well with this, but I know this Midnight Catherine Pooler one does work really well. I am working on top of marker paper, which is important when you're using markers because you need a really nice smooth surface. And starting here, showing a little bit of blending, I first colored a little swatch of light, and then I did a darker color, still in the green family but darker, and then I went back over it with the light color to blend them together. And even when you're using the marker paper, these will bleed through the back, so that's just a normal part of using alcohol markers. Now I'm using the tri-blend markers. I really like using the tri-blend markers. I think if you're new to using alcohol markers and you want to blend with them, I usually recommend starting out with these Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers because it makes the blending really easy because the colors go perfectly together. And I'm just testing up here. I always leave myself some room to test, and you can see here I'll take the 3 different colors and I'll do the light, medium, dark, and then I'll take the medium to blend the medium and the dark color together, and take the light to blend the light and the dark color together. My most used marker is this Colorless Blender, which is part of the American Crafts sketch markers, and it's just so handy to have this clear marker. You can take any color and blend it out, as you saw I just did. The Colorless Blender works really well in places you want lighter, like that are even lighter than your marker, or if you want to blend into a white area. A lot of this is like regular coloring. It's just layering on top of your regular coloring to get some shadows and some gradations, and it just helps a piece look more realistic. To color in these bookends, I started with the dark gold color, and then I am using the colorless sketch marker to blend it into the white area. So those are the only colors that I used on these page ends. These markers also get darker the more layers that you add to it, so even if you're using the same color, you can add a few layers and it get a little bit darker if you want that really subtle shadowing. And that works on the opposite too. If you want something that's really light, you only want to go over it once. When I'm trying to blend, I like to have at least 2 colors that are in the same color group. So like the little bit of green that I added to this book, I used a light green and then the dark green in the corners, and then filled it in and blended it with the light green again, and that created this nice gradation. And I repeated these steps through all of these books. I wanted a bunch of different color books, and I think it just looks so fun. I really like doing these with stamps because there are so many different stamped images that you can use. And another good thing with this particular stamp is that there is a coordinating die, so I do not have to fussy cut it, which is also a plus. Coloring can also be just so therapeutic. It's just a time when all you need to do is just sit there and color, and it's just fun. And I like that I can create this as many different ways as I can think of how to do it in all different colors. I think adding the shadows on these books and all of the different colors and the gradations of the ink on here really helps it stand out from a really flat image that I think it would look like if I just had flat colors on everything. So here it is when I'm all finished coloring, and now I got it all die cut out, and I'm going to start building my page around it. I found this great photo that I actually took quite a few years ago, and it's in a bookstore, and if you can look hard enough, my brother is peeking out from behind a bookshelf. So I think it's a really fun photo that goes perfectly with this book-themed page. I am using the Books Are Magic stamp as my title, and then also on this stamp set there are all these tiny little books that I also wanted to include, so I'm stamping some of those on my marker paper as well, and I'll color those in and fussy cut them out, and they'll just be coming out of my giant book mound. This was actually a pretty easy page. I tried to keep everything other than my coloring and the main book stack as the focal point, so I didn't really do much else to this page, and I don't think it really needs it. I love making these simple pages where just a couple of elements that are done really nicely stand out. Now I'm starting to add these pieces to my page. I like to pop up my elements, so my photo is on some foam tape as well as this book stack, and then all of these tiny books I'll pop up on some foam as well. I wanted to add a little bit more of this gold that was in the title, so I'm using some of there's like little stars and swirls from this stamp set as well. So I'm using those, and I placed them where I wanted them, and then I picked them all up all at once. So that's a quick and easy way where you're not fussing with a bunch of little stamps. Just set them where you want them and pick them all up. Then I just added my gold embossing powder. If I was stamping this, I would be very nervous, but with embossing powder, if I didn't get the placement quite right, I could just easily use a paintbrush to move around where the embossing flakes were. And that's the end for this page. I hope you give coloring with alcohol markers a try. Thanks for watching.